Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we're going to do a follow-up to this video right here because I got a lot of pushback from some of you. Some of you didn't believe what I was saying, and maybe I didn't do a good enough job explaining it, so I'm going to take some of that blame. But we do need to talk about this in anticipation of ATF's new rules on firearms with attached stabilizing braces, which is going to drop next month and go into effect sometime in April of 2023, and what all of this really means to you, the lawful and responsible gun owner nationwide. So today, let's spend a few very important minutes and talk about how likely is it that ATF shows up to get your AR pistol. Okay, before we get going down the road we are going down, proud to announce that this video is being brought to you by Security Gun Club. That's right, Washington's nicest indoor facility is found right there in Woodinville, Washington. Now listen, you all heard me brag about the facility, brag about the people, and certainly brag about their dedication to education with the amazing curriculum they have over there. But this month I want to brag on something far more important than all of that, which is the good folks at Security Gun Club have a toy drive going for the Forgotten Children's Fund. So stop on by right here at Security Gun Club, say hi to the good folks, check out the facility, but most importantly, drop off a toy for the kids, or if you want to just make a donation, walk up to any one of the people there at Security Gun Club. They will gladly take a donation. Now listen, they are open every day except for Monday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. right there in Woodinville, Washington. This is for the Forgotten Children's Fund, so stop on by and help the kids out. Okay, so the issue we're talking about today is this hypothetical, like let's say there is a large alphabet agency, let's call them, I don't know, the ATF, and let's say that they have decided to suddenly reverse course on a firearm which for decades and decades they had deemed to be completely lawful, thus resulting in millions and millions of Americans going out and lawfully purchasing, owning, possessing, and using these firearms both for recreational purposes and for self-defense purposes. Let's call the firearm, I don't know, an AR pistol. And suddenly we have an alphabet agency that decides to reverse course and suddenly say, you know, on second thought, upon further review, like a bad Pac-12 officiating crew, that we are going to now deem these to be unlawful short barrel rifles. But don't worry, you have some options, because you can either turn the firearm into us, you could destroy the firearm, or of course you can register it with the federal government, pay your taxation, and then of course be subject to all of our regulations, which is basically the choices that we are going to be left with. Now, what a lot of people have been wondering is hey, what's the likelihood that they're going to show up at my door or send me a nasty letter a la, I don't know, Operation Reticent Recall, like they did with the forced reset triggers, wide open triggers, and solvent traps? What's the likelihood that they're going to show up at my door wanting to inspect my AR pistol and run it through this form right here, Form 4999, to determine whether or not it truly is a pistol with an attached stabilizing brace or short-barreled rifle? Well, the answer is it depends on how much information you previously gave ATF. Now, for the sake of this hypothetical, what we need to focus on is the information that all of us would have had to put down on ATF Form 4473. In particular, what type of information is put in Section A and then again in Section C. Now, this is information that the FFL records into the form. Our personal information, the information that we're required to put on the form, is found in Section B. Now, on 4473 Section A, the FFL, who's in charge of the transfer of the firearm, has to record certain information about the firearm that's being transferred. That information includes the following: the manufacturer and importer, the model, the serial number, the type of firearm, and the caliber or gauge. Now, in Section A, when we purchase a completed firearm or just the lower frame or receiver, the FFL is going to have to describe what type of firearm that is. The FFL in Section A is given the following choices: pistol, revolver, rifle, shotgun, receiver, frame, or other. And then in Section C over here, the FFL is actually only given one of three choices, and those choices are handgun, long gun, other. So this is how ATF ends up possibly tracing a particular firearm to you. Let's say that you have gone out and purchased this completed AR pistol with an attached stabilizing brace. You purchased it as is. Okay, now in Section A, when you purchased this firearm, the FFL would have recorded the manufacturer of this firearm in Section A1, the model number in Section A2. And of course, the model number, to anyone who can go look it up, is likely to prove or establish that this was a completed AR pistol with an attached stabilizing brace. In addition to that, the FFL has also recorded the serial number of the firearm, the type of the firearm, and the caliber or gauge. And in this situation, in Section A4, right there for type, the FFL is putting pistol in there. So now the ATF is, with Section A alone, they are privy to information that the purchaser has purchased a completed AR pistol based upon the make, the model number, the serial number, and the type of firearm that's listed there. Now, in Section C, where the FFL over here is given the choice between handgun, long gun, and other, of course, the FFL would put handgun because this is considered to be a pistol. So now both forms, both parts of Form 4473 are going to corroborate for the ATF that this is likely a pistol with an attached stabilizing brace, or at least that information is potentially decipherable from the information recorded on the 4473. However, if our AR pistol came from a receiver, a lower receiver, and this is important, even if it's a serialized lower receiver, then what is recorded in Section A and recorded in Section C does not provide the ATF with any information necessary to cross-reference what type of platform this firearm may be in. So to give you an example of how generic this becomes once you start using lower receivers to build your ARs out from, let's take a completely stripped down lower receiver such as this one. In Section A, yes, the manufacturer, the model, the serial number is all going to be listed there. But as far as the type of firearm, it's going in as a receiver. It's the only thing it can be listed as. Sure, you may have purchased it as an AR-15 rifle lower receiver or an AR pistol lower receiver, but in the format in which it is transferred, it is only listed as a receiver. Then in Section C, because it is neither a long gun nor a handgun at this time, it goes down as an other. So the information given to ATF in this situation is receiver and other versus our completed firearm, which went down as pistol and handgun. But you see, it doesn't stop there, because whether we have this type of lower receiver, which has a pistol brace attached to it, or this type of receiver, which has a rifle brace attached to it, or even this type of receiver, which just has the buffer tube and no brace attached to it whatsoever, in Section A, when we purchase this item, it is going to go into Section A as a receiver. It is not going to go in as a rifle if it has a rifle stock on it. It is not going to go in as a pistol or a handgun if it has a pistol brace on it. It is going in as a receiver. And in Section C, because none of these are completed firearms, it is not a handgun, it is not a long gun, it is also going in as an other. So for any one of these types of lower receivers, the information that ATF can derive from this is that this was a receiver that was listed as an other. When you compare that to this completed firearm right here, which is listed as both a pistol and handgun, you can see the difference in the type of information that ATF is provided with. Now, some of you push back believing that no. If there's a rifle stock on it, this is going to be recorded as a rifle. It is not. And if you look at the back of Form 4473 itself, on the big help section, the 5 pages of extra information that's attached to the back, you will see a paragraph that reads as follows. If a frame or receiver can only be made into a long gun, rifle or shotgun, it is still a frame or receiver, not a handgun or long gun. All frames and receivers are firearms by definition and subject to the same Gun Control Act limitations. So this lower receiver here is a receiver, and this lower receiver here is a lower receiver, and they are both going to be listed as receivers, and they're both going to be listed as others. They are not going to go down as a handgun. They are not going to go down as a long gun in Section C, because at the time that the transfer takes place, that is not the configuration of that firearm. The bottom line is this: if you purchased a completed AR pistol in its absolute final configuration, the data is there for ATF to go out and cross-reference and trace this firearm to you and potentially ask for an inspection of that firearm. We will be doing a separate video about what do we do in that instance. If, however, your firearm was built from a lower receiver such as this, or this, or this, or this, there is really no way for ATF to cross-reference the data necessary to determine what configuration that firearm is in and why they should come knocking on your door. Listen, I know many of you are going to have a lot more questions about this, and yes, we will be doing more videos as more things begin to develop. In the meantime, if you have any questions about this or anything else related to your Second Amendment rights, remember, you can always contact us at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or of course you can call us directly at 425-765-0487. Now, let's remember, part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching, and stay safe.